just in the middle of the mating season. So all the females are coming down to graze in the field here, and obviously the males are following them. The gestation period is about 9 months, so they'll mate usually in June and born in January or February. And then they'll spend a few months in the den, 4 months, come down in the spring, usually May or June is when we start seeing them, especially the moms with cubs. But it's a dangerous time of year for them too, because all the males are congregating down here grazing and also competing for females. And so the moms with cubs have really got to be careful to steer clear of the males, and even the other dominant females will attack the cubs and try and kill them. If the males can kill the cubs during mating season, the female will actually go back into estrus, and that's another motivator for the boars as well. This is our biggest male here, compared next to our smallest breeding female. He'd be about 800 pounds, and you can see the size difference between them. When you look closely, you can see his age and all his scars on his body. He's the dominant male in this area. She's just kicked out her cubs after having them for about 2.5 years, and ready to have another set. This male will follow her around until she's decided he's suitable and she's ready. This will actually be the third male this female has been with today. They'll mate with different males, and they can have cubs from different fathers in the same litter. Once they leave the den, they'll congregate down here in the meadows and be grazing for 3 or 4 months before the salmon arrive. They're just sustaining themselves right now. They'll actually, we'll even see the males lose a little bit of weight. They're mainly focusing on mating and courting and competing with other males. So the females are just sustaining their weight as much as they can on the sedge grass and razor clams until the salmon arrive more in August and September. That's when they'll put on the weight they need for the winter time to make it through their hibernation. At the moment, these are the only 2 bears in the field. He can clear the whole field just with his presence. This time of year, that's the male's main focus. They're just looking at seeing what females are in the field, competing with the other males. She presented herself there. That shows you that she was ready to mate. He was obviously ready, following her around. The springtime is a really exciting time for me because you get to see which moms are coming out with cubs, how the juveniles are doing. Well, we're here at the end of June, and we're having some low tides, which enables mainly the moms with cubs and the females to go out and dig for razor clams, which is essentially their main source of protein during the summertime. They focus mostly on the razor clams, which have quite a brittle shell. They can crack them open with their claws. Some bears will squish them into the mud and kind of lick up the meat off the shell. They'll leave quite a bit for their cubs as well, which will come around and kind of pick up the scraps as much as they can. They'll combine that with the mother's milk as well as they grow. This time of year, the moms are especially wary. All the bears are congregating around the same food source, mainly the sedge grass and the razor clams. Later on, it will be the salmon as they come in the fall. So they're constantly on alert, looking for other bears not really focusing on us. In this area, we have one of the biggest tidal swings in the world. We saw one mom leave it a little bit too late. She was quite desperate to get some clams, and she stayed out on the tidal flats too long and was stranded on an island there and was forced to swim back to shore with her cubs on her back. The cubs do know how to swim, but across a stretch like that, it's quite likely they would have drowned if she hadn't let them up on her back. The cubs are quite nervous once they've come out of the den. Everything is new to them, from the birds to us to planes flying overhead. So it takes a couple of weeks before they can relax a little bit and get used to things outside of the den. And the mom helps a lot with that, just by showing them, that they can relax around us. That's a big part of it. And then later on, once they're more comfortable, they turn more curious, and they'll come in closer and kind of sniff you out and see what you're all about and that you pose no threat to them. The cubs will stay with their mom for about 2.5 years, and at the end of that 2.5 years in the spring, the mom will kick them out and they'll be on their own, kind of going from the top of the pecking order straight to the bottom in the bear world. So they're getting chased around by other bears, and they're quite frantic because they don't have the protection of their mother. So they're just figuring everything out on their own, from clamming just to staying safe from other bears. And now that this mom has kind of kicked out her cubs, she's gone back to mate with another male and hopefully come out with spring cubs next year. We only see about 50% or so of the cubs actually survive through to about 4 or 5 years. Once they get past that point, they can pretty much fend for themselves, and they're on their way to becoming an adult, where hopefully they'll get usually into about their 20s. Guests who come here for the very first time often ask, how do you know when you're getting too close to a bear, or when is the bear getting stressed out? At what point do you need to back away and give the bear space? Over time, you learn to recognize the bear's body language is the main thing that you look at. The first signs of stress could be the way they turn their body, or they'll see them yawn. That's one of the first indicators of anxiety or stress. Sometimes you'll find yourself being approached by a bear, and it's up to you to judge whether this bear is just being curious and wants to see what you're all about, or is actually aggressive, showing signs of distress or aggression. So it's up to you to determine whether this is a situation where you need to back away or to hold your ground, and that just comes with some time in the field and experience. Over the past 6 years that I've been guiding here, I've seen these bears grow and become more accustomed to humans. At the same time, they are wild animals, and we do treat them as such and give them the respect and space that they need, depending on the bear in that situation. This is quite a unique place in that you can approach quite closely to these bears in the wild. They're not alarmed. They've grown up with humans around, and really just makes for a great opportunity to experience these bears up close. The moms with cubs, even some of the males will let you get close, and just makes for a really awesome experience.